I want you to get ready to embark on a transformative journey where there's no more suffering in silence, no more conforming to outdated societal norms. This is the podcast where we dare to crush those societal expectations and embrace the realities of pregnancy and parenthood with one honest conversation at a time. It's time for us to rise above the shadows and ignite a movement towards a happier, more fulfilled world for every parent and child. If that's you and you're ready to challenge the status quo and embark on this incredible journey with me, then I'd like to welcome you to the Birth Junkie Podcast. I'm going to take you back to 2005, okay? This is when I was 16 and pregnant. Yes, it does sound like a TV show, but this is my real life. I was 16 and pregnant, okay? I thought I was in love. I'm going to give you like a short overview of everything. Okay, so 16, so in love with this guy, my first love. I thought I was in love. Love, 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 love. Boy, did I not know what love was. So we were together for, I want to say a couple months. And then I was like, I'm going to run away to my mom because he lived in Lodi. I lived in Modesto. It was about 45-minute drive and we wanted to be together so bad. So I told my mom, I'm running away if you don't let me move with him. And his mom was totally okay with me moving in with them. So here we go. I moved in with him. And we ended up, I was a really rebellious teenager. Oh my gosh, I had so many issues. We'll get into that later too. So I moved in with him, ended up becoming pregnant a couple months later, and really crazy. I definitely remember telling my mom I was so scared, and she was a teen mom as well, so she didn't want that for me. But you know, I follow in my mom's footsteps. I'm her mini-me, as others call me. But telling her was one of the scariest things I've ever done in my life, and I will never forget that moment. We went outside, she grabbed a cigarette, and she was like quitting smoking, so that was a big deal. And I told her, and I was so shamed, so embarrassed, and I was in high school still, but I was doing, oh gosh, what is it called? Where you're like a bad kid and you go to like a bad school and you only go for like an hour a day, to like drop off your homework and meet with the teacher for a little bit. Anyways, independent study. There you go. That's what I did. And so anyways, I was doing that, and I had gone to school and I had so many friends, and I dropped them all off. I stopped talking to them because I was embarrassed, because I had some family that actually voiced that they were not approving. I had an uncle who told me I should get an abortion. This was when I was 6 months pregnant. Very helpful. Thanks, uncle. And then I also had an aunt who didn't want me to hang out with my cousin, who was more like my sister anymore. So that really hurt my heart. And, you know, it was because I was pregnant. And so I thought, well, my family feels this way about me, then, you know, my classmates must. So I dropped all my friends because I was embarrassed and ashamed that I had gotten pregnant so young. So anyways, pregnancy was really hard. It was really lonely. My main people that I hung out with were like my mom, brother, and sometimes my sister. And then, also it was, you know, like my boyfriend and all of his family, because that's where I lived. So went through pregnancy. I will never forget the day before I went in labor, we went to San Francisco, and we spent the day walking around. This was like 2 days after my due date. Really smart. Or yeah. 2 days after my due date. So anyways, we walked around miles and miles and miles, and, went back home, slept, and then I woke up at 6 a.m. and guess what? I was in labor. My water was trickling out. I freaked out. I didn't prepare. I didn't do any investigating on like how I should manage labor. I didn't do anything. Like, I wish I had a doula. I feel like I would have avoided this birth experience. So I labored for a couple of hours, took a shower, and then my contractions, they were not very close together. I don't remember. So we went to the hospital because it was like everything you see in the movies. I was like, well, this must be how it's supposed to be. So let's go to the hospital. And so we get there, I get checked. I don't remember how many centimeters I was when I got there. But I was not there very long. So that was like 6 a.m. when I started laboring. And then I remember by like 4-ish p.m., they were like, oh, well, we need to do a C-section because the baby's heart rate is going down. And I wasn't even laboring that long, and they didn't give me a chance. I was encouraged to stay in the bed, and as I know now, as a doula, that is the worst thing you could do, is stay in bed. Stay in one position. Makes no sense. How are we going to get this baby out if you're just laying in bed? And I didn't have any pain medication. Like, I didn't have an epidural, so, like, there was no reason why I couldn't move. But I was encouraged to stay in bed so that the baby could be monitored on the monitor, which I feel like is ridiculous and unnecessary. I mean, it's necessary in some situations, but in my situation, it was not necessary. I was a healthy 16-year-old, which, gosh, it's so weird to say. I was a 16-year-old pregnant girl. But anyways, so I did end up overhearing my doctor say something about a dinner. So she wanted to get to a dinner. So I ended up having a C-section because I was failure to progress, even though I had been in labor less than 12 hours. And if you know anything about labor, typically for a first-time mom, it can take anywhere from like 12 to 24 hours or even more to labor before your baby comes out. And I only dilated to 4 centimeters. I only dilated to 4 centimeters, and that's where I was deemed failure to progress. So anyways, had this C-section, totally disconnected. Like, I was like, whose baby is this? You know, this baby was brought to me. The first time I seen her was wrapped really, really thick in these thick blankets, like 3 blankets, which I find so ridiculous now. Like, why? And then she was brought to my face, and I was just like all drugged up, like, oh, like, even there's a picture of me holding her, and I'm like looking behind me where they're taking the picture from, because I'm laying on the table like this, you know, like strapped to the table. So stupid that they strap you down. But anyways, so yeah, I felt so disconnected from this baby. I was like, whose baby is this anyway? She's just giving me a baby. It's so weird. So, you know, I didn't feel any, like, I was like, oh, this is cool. That's my baby. But I didn't feel any emotion. Like, I wasn't sad. I mean, you know how people, you see them cry, they're like overcome with emotion. I was not. I felt totally disconnected. I was like, who is this baby? Why are they giving her to me? And, you know, like, I don't know. My partner and I, so before I had ended up pregnant, I actually was deciding that we didn't belong together. But I stayed with him because I grew up in a broken family and I didn't want that for my baby. So I stayed with him, especially after I got pregnant, because I was like, okay, well, now I have to stay with him because I don't want a broken family. Horrible idea. Don't ever stay with somebody just because you don't want a broken family. There's much better out there. I've been with my current husband now for, we've been together 11 years now. And if I would have been dumb and just stayed with him because of my baby, I'd be miserable. Miserable. Like, thank God I left, because that was horrible. So yeah, went home after, you know, went to we always called her my mother-in-law. We weren't married, but that's what we called her, my mother-in-law. Went to my mother-in-law's house, and postpartum sucked. You know, I was so alone, and like my mother-in-law, she smoked, and at the time she smoked in the house. So I would close the door and I'd put like a towel under the door because I didn't want the baby to get smoke. So I was in this little room majority of the time with this baby. Like, it sucked. I felt so alone. I was so depressed. I had no friends because I left them all behind because I was embarrassed. And then, you know, I felt banished by my family. Even though they didn't banish me, things that were said about me or to me, I felt like I was not wanted. Like the situation was not wanted, and that I was like a disgrace, you know, just like all the feelings of not feeling good enough. And, you know, a lot of that also stems from my childhood, which I will actually go into in another episode, because I feel like I should write a book, because I've had crazy things happen in my life. So anyways, yeah, my postpartum journey was horrendous. It sucked. I mean, my mother-in-law, she would like cook me meals and stuff, but I just felt alone, you know, and I'm like this 17-year-old girl, you know, I'm a child. I think about my 18-year-old girl having a baby right now. That seems so ridiculous. Like, I can't even imagine her having a baby. Not to say she's not nurturing, but she's a child. Like, I was a kid. I was a kid having a kid. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. You know, people don't even know what they're doing when they're in their 20s or 30s when they're having kids. They're like, what am I doing here? And I was a kid, still like maturing, you know. And when I did have a baby, like, it matured me quick. Like, you know, I was like, okay, I cannot, like, because I was doing stupid things. I was like drinking and smoking, and I stopped, like, all of it, because I had this baby, you know, and I had to do better for her sake. So anyways, I just wanted to share a little bit of my journey as a teen mom. It sucked. I'm not gonna lie, it sucked. I felt unsupported and I hated it. I was miserable. And my partner and I, we did not align. You know, before she even turned 1, we broke up and I moved back in with my mom. And when I did move in with my mom, I realized, you know, how I could be supported by family in a better way than I was. Because, you know, I don't know, and it feels different too when it's your own parent that's helping you. Because don't get me wrong, like my daughter's family on that side were super helpful. They're super sweet. Like they would do anything to help me, but it's just different. You know, it's a different feeling. It's a different comfort level. It's a different, you know, when you're home, when you're with your mom, it's your mom, you know? So it was different, and it did get better after that. Well, yeah, I had my moments, you know. I went through like a little, after I turned 21, like a little party stage where I was like going out all the time and being ridiculous. But it was better. I started to figure out, because you know, when you're 17, you don't know who you are. So here I was moving back in with my mom, and I'm like, I don't know who I am as a person, and what am I? You know, just like so crazy. So I started to realize I'm my own person. I could be my own person. Like I could figure out what I like and don't like to do and do it. And my baby, she became my little road dog. Like we would do everything together. We did so many fun things together, and I tried to make her life great because she deserves it, you know? And I really hope, and you know, I'll chat with her about that and see what she feels about it. But I really hope that it was like she did have amazing memories, because as a kid, that's what it's about. I feel like you should have these amazing like memories where you're just able to be yourself and have fun and just enjoy life for what it is. Because as we get older, you know, we kind of get blindsided by all the noise. So anyways, I'll get into like more stuff later, but I'm going to try to keep this one short again. So thank you so much for listening to my little snippet of my first pregnancy as a teen mom. If you liked it, hit the like button. If not, move on. It's okay. I totally get it. I'm not, you know, I'm trying my best here. All right. I will see you in the next video. Have such a beautiful day. Bye. Oh my gosh, I feel so honored that you took the time out of your busy day to listen to that episode. I really hope that you liked it, or something resonated with you, or you learned something new today. Make sure to hit subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. And if you'd like to connect with me, go ahead and go to the show notes and click the link. I'd love for you to rate and review this show. That helps more people see this show when they're searching. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a beautiful day. I will see you next week.